This episode of the SwitchCast is produced by Gulag, our honored patron and Switch Knight. Hey everybody, I'm KC.
And I'm JV.
And we are blasting off again with another episode of the SwitchCast, the podcast for the Switch enthusiast. And we have been gathering quite a bit of gaming experience this week.
Oh my gosh, there is a gigantic deluge of awesome games coming out for the Switch now.
You overwhelmed me, honestly. When you sent me the list of things that you got and started playing,
yeah, it's a lot. And honestly, if you notice the list of games that we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks, they're mostly third party. And they're all really big, really popular third party games. And it's such a wonderful sight to see on a Nintendo platform.
And here I was, stupid me, thinking after Mario Odyssey we'd have a little bit of breathing room and be able to calm down with having to play so many.
I know, right? I really did think that after Mario Odyssey there'd be a bit of a lull. But no, we can't forget third parties in the Switch because they're really supporting the console now.
Yes, very nice. Even with things like L.A. Noire, you mentioned that's one of the things you picked up. It's not a new title. It is a remake or a revision, but it's a third party bringing its A-list titles to the Switch, which is really encouraging and really good to see.
Yeah, it's not necessarily their front runners quite yet. Like L.A. Noire is not necessarily the Grand Theft Auto levels of popular for Rockstar, but it's still a big game. It was still considered AAA when it first came out. Same with Skyrim. Doom and Wolfenstein 2, they're heavy hitters for Bethesda, so the sentiment of third parties for the Switch is changing, and it is such a wonderful thing to hear about.
And let's not forget to note the one that everyone in the chat, everybody's been losing their minds over this week is
Rocket League!
Yeah, oh man, it's ridiculous. It took over the community this week. Everyone they instantly started begging us for a channel for Rocket League chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is his name? Wave was even messaging like, hey, could we start like an official team? Maybe we could wear SwitchCast like jerseys and have like a pro team. And I'm like, I'm all for it.
Honestly, Rocket League is such a great game for that. And what's even better is that Rocket League's competitive scene is controller-based.
Yeah.
So the way that you're playing on your Switch is the preferred professional way to play.
It's true, and it's already established. It's not like we have to get this going, guys. We have to like build this up. No, it's there. We just have to join the party, basically.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's just such a wonderful community for the Nintendo Switch fans to join. It's excellent because we're not even siloed from the rest of the Rocket League players.
Yeah.
We can't actually cross-platform play with PC and Xbox One players.
I've been dipping my feet in the just the community stuff because I didn't get the game yet. But I wanted to like get a feel for what the player base is like, so I visited their forums and I kind of stopped into a Discord chat with some of them. And no, they do seem like they're like on the kind of level that we're familiar with, maybe a little more energetic, and we have an energetic group, but they are a very highly energetic and enthusiastic group that feels pretty close to the kind of people that we're already used to in our community. So it feels like it's going to be a good mesh. They're not very trolly. They're pretty, fun people.
I'm really excited to dip into that community a little bit.
Yeah, maybe some of them will come over here too.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. If you guys have any Rocket League friends, we have a channel just for them. We can join and have fun in Rocket League, and then enjoy some other Switch games too.
Yeah, tell them this is their chance to be a big fish in the little pond.
Right?
Where,
There you go.
Oh, so in the pro tip world, I actually it's not something that came up before, but it's something that I just realized how to do, and people have asked me about this, and I just never thought about it too much, but I noticed, I remember when people were playing Legend of Zelda, people are saying, oh, it's really annoying how there's only like one save file. And then we started playing Mario Odyssey, and when I started playing it, like I told you, we were playing it just 2 players with Amelie, she was like, oh, maybe you want to make your own separate one-player file that's different than the one we're playing at 2 players. And I didn't see an option to do that. I was just like, it probably isn't, whatever. I didn't realize, I'm sure like 80% of people realize this, but there's 20% of people who missed this, I think.
Right.
How you save different save files.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, you just log in under a different username. All the saves are linked to the username, and that's how you can have another Zelda save or another Mario Odyssey save if you want to play, under different people's names. And, you don't have to worry about like saving over anything. If you're logged in on that name, you're now playing with their progress. And I think if even like say user A, like say deletes the game, they won't necessarily delete your save file. Like you might still have that saved under your user.
That's always been a classic problem within gaming, hasn't it? There's always been stories of older brothers lending the Pokemon GBA game to a younger brother, having them create a new game and accidentally deleting over all their Pokemon progress. And that happens in a bunch of games. And siloing each save file to each different profile. I think that's a great solution to that.
Yeah, it's just so funny how like I never even thought of that before now, and it's just a cool little feature that is nice with the system, and I'm not sure if other systems use that too before in the past, but it's new to me, so there you go. Anyone who has ever messaged me or emailed me in the past that they were angry about there not being multiple save files, here you go. You now know how that works.
Welcome to the console world, Casey.
It's funny. I used to have a friend who would lend me games like back in Super NES days.
Yep.
But he was really adamant about this. He's like, look, there's 3 save files on this game. Like he lent me like his Secret of Evermore. I remember that was the one he had. And he's like, there's 3 files on this game. I have the first one. You have the second. Don't ever save over the third one. Why? It's blank. Yes, I always keep one virgin save file. What? He was so like serious. Like he said, no, dude, it's just a thing. If you save over it, I'm never lending you a game again.
It's his personal superstition.
He just has to have one blank save on every game. So if it only had 2 files, that's it. He can't lend that out.
You could have secretly saved a file there and then deleted it. And
there's no delete options in those games, though. You can only save over them. So once you saved, it was like, etched. You can only save over it.
All right. Okay. All
right. I also wanted to mention we're coming up to this season, and a lot of game awards have been announcing their nominees, in particular the video game awards themselves.
Absolutely.
Quite a good number of Switch games have made the list, and I want to say, like Splatoon 2's on there for Best Multiplayer Game. Best Audio Design has Mario and Zelda both duking it out, along with a few other titles there.
Yeah, see, Mario Kart 8 for Best Multiplayer as well. Super Mario Odyssey Breath of the Wild for Best Action. I mean, technically, Best Esports Game, Rocket League's on there, so that's a Switch game now, too.
That's true. That's true. So it's something to root for if you guys are into these kind of awards. But I would want to mention there is another awards of sorts that we'll be hosting here that I'd like to get you guys involved in. So I think at the end of the year, it's safe to say you and me, JV, we're going to probably do at least some best of or just some sort of end of year recap and more or less kind of an awards.
Absolutely.
Yes. But I think a great augmentation to that will be to get the people's choice and get everyone, the listeners' kind of opinions in on there.
Absolutely. This is actually probably the first time we've been able to pull something like this off. We have a big enough community where a SwitchCast Choice survey would be feasible.
Yeah. So I'm going to create a survey, and I'll probably post it up at the beginning of, maybe in the next week or two, probably by the beginning of December at the latest. And once I post that up, I'll start collecting your votes for the best games in certain categories for the Switch, and there will be a Game of the Year award. And I know that's the big one that everyone has their like very strong opinions on here. So I would really love to hear what the fans think is the Game of the Year for the Switch.
Absolutely. I definitely want to see that.
Keep an eye on our social media on Facebook, Twitter, and of course in the chat on Discord, and we will keep you abreast, and we'll tap you guys for information for that too. So without further ado, let's shift gears, move into game time, and let's hear about all the fun stuff you've been playing.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, and I say fun stuff you've been playing because you played
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. I played something too, but I'll save that for the sandwich. We'll sandwich your 2 reviews in between mine. How about that?
Okay, we'll make it a KC review sandwich.
Okay, that sounds good. So why don't you start with the first slice of bread and tell us about your delve into Doom.
Yes, so it's so weird to describe Doom as a slice of bread, because the game is anything but when it comes to attitude and environment.
Okay.
So, if you guys don't already know, Doom is a historic first-person shooter franchise. In fact, I believe it's probably one of, if not the first-person shooter ever. If you guys don't know the basic premise of Doom, you're...
Hell!
Yeah, it's all about hell, yeah. You're a Doom guy, soldier dude, that's been working for this corporation that's been trying to essentially open a portal into hell in order to use hell's resources to better mankind.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, you know, like
all the sulfur we need.
Yeah, it's an alternate dimension where you can do a lot of stuff and not have to worry about you pulling resources from Earth itself.
Okay. We gotta probably do nuclear tests in there.
Yeah,
who cares?
All that type of stuff. No, obviously things kind of go awry. I believe there's a cult that's going on here that's actually trying to utilize the hell portal to just unleash hell on Earth. And boom, the corporation becomes corrupt. There's politics problems. That type of stuff happens.
I never knew there was actually a story to Doom other than a paragraph that says, yeah, we were on Mars and some science went wrong and now demons are here.
That's essentially what the story is. There's a lot of stuff going on here, but you honestly don't really care that much about it. And I don't think Doom cares too much either. So, a funny moment when I was playing this game was when you first start off and you wake up from your bed and you go forward and there's all this evil commotion going on. You go up to one of those talking panels, and in a normal story-based FPS, one of the bad guys would start reciting a monologue explaining the philosophy of why all this stuff is going on. But literally, Doom Guy just smashes his fist onto that thing, saying, you know what, screw it, I don't care, and then just starts shooting things up. And that was like a perfect representation of this game.
It's kind of like, we haven't had these games in a while. It has a very Duke Nukem kind of attitude
right,
to it.
I mean, Doom is essentially harkens back to those classic FPS games, like Unreal Tournament. It is the company that developed all these first-person shooter games, and this is really going back to that.
But to clarify for anyone who hasn't seen screenshots of this, this is not like a remake of like the originals we're talking about. It has the exact same name as the original games, but it is its own modern day beast.
Right. It released last year in the other consoles, and Doom just re-released on the Switch last week. So obviously I've been playing the Switch version.
Okay, now tell us all about the
Switch version,
the action, and what does it look like? How does it feel?
I gotta say, I am so stunned at how well this game is running on the Switch.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I look at the graphics and I can tell right from the get-go that it's not a full 1080p or 4K experience like from the other consoles. But while playing the game, it's a steady 30 frames per second experience, and it's there's really nothing detracting from the enjoyment that this game provides. The hand animations look smooth. Your environment, while the textures aren't as detailed as they could be, it still looks good. It seems like it's a late era PS3, early PS4 game.
Okay.
Which is perfectly passable on a portable console like Doom.
You mean like Switch?
Yes, on the Switch.
Okay.
Now, it plays 720p docked or undocked, so if you don't like the 720p graphics, then that might be an issue. And it doesn't reach the smoothness of 60 frames per second that PC or console does, but this is the first FPS of its kind on the Nintendo Switch, and it is the first current gen port to the Switch, and I have to say Bethesda did a great job on that front.
So tell us the gameplay itself. So what are the stages like, and the monsters and the weapons, and like are there any interesting features of the actual battle?
I guess the overall map that you're exploring is pretty standard for normal first-person shooters. You go through the map.
It's more like it's very labyrinthy.
It is.
Okay.
You go through the map. You shoot down bad guys. You go to an area that can get you a key to unlock a door to go to the next place. I have to say the gameplay of Doom is such a refreshing take on a first-person shooter. It's classic style, so you're shooting up and you have a set amount of health. Mm-hmm. It's not like modern shooters where you get shot a lot and then you start glowing red or your bar starts going low, and then you duck under the covers, your health regenerates. That's not how the system works whatsoever. You shoot down enemies, and you get shot as well, and you take damage, and that damage is permanent. However, whenever you shoot down enemies a certain amounts, they start to glow orange, and then that gives you an opportunity to jump in and do a melee kill or an overkill where you do some extra automated animation that brutally murders whatever your target is.
All right.
Whenever you
considering the topic matter, it's fair to say this is a gory, horror-themed kind of game.
Yeah, we should definitely say that this is not a PG game. It's a rated M.
Okay.
But yeah, so these glory kills are brutal. You're grabbing onto an enemy, twisting their neck, pulling them apart, dismembering their arms, like that type of stuff. Whenever you do that glory kill, health orbs spawn up, which grants you a little bit of life. This essentially encourages you to just run around gung-ho and killing as many people as possible, going up and glory killing constantly. And so it essentially rewards you for being aggressive and fighting or running around as much as possible, instead of the standard duck and shoot over cover, duck and shoot over cover.
Okay. Does it use the motion controls for the aiming, or is it?
No, it doesn't use the motion controls for the aiming. It only uses motion controls to trigger one of the glory kills that would grant you health. Okay. But it's completely optional. You can just click on the right stick to trigger one of those glory kills once they happen.
Okay, because I'm kind of spoiled on that. I do really like aiming motions, especially, I mean, even before Splatoon, like there were games on the Vita that used that I was just like, I like this. I like this style of like aiming in my FPSs, and I would like to see more games adopt that. I know that it might not have been available on the original systems that it was made for, but I think that would be a nice concession for them to make in future such games.
Honestly, you're moving so quickly in this game. It's not that it necessarily requires twitch reflexes, but you're moving around, and sometimes, especially in handheld mode, when you get into it, really into it, I noticed that my hand shakes a little bit, so aiming motion controls could be a bit tricky. But okay. I agree, for precision it might be nice. I have to say the pace of this game is what really sells it for me.
Yeah.
I explained it is gung-ho, and the glory kill health system really encourages you to be aggressive and fight as quickly and as in your face as possible. And that's just not something that modern day shooters really encourage anymore.
Okay, fair enough. How have you been able to try the multiplayer out?
Yes, so I'm just so surprised at how this multiplayer works as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Doom's multiplayer system brought onto the Switch. It feels like there were no concessions made for it to fit on the Switch console, which is so surprising to me as well. I played multiplayer. I went into a multiplayer lobby, and it had standard first-person shooter matchmaking, and it joined me up with fellow players, and bam, I was in a game. The gameplay of the multiplayer is pretty standard. It has the pace of classic Halo, where you're definitely running around trying to find your targets and killing them. But it held up pretty well. There's certain moments when it gets a bit hectic and the frame rate starts to go down just a little bit, but those moments are usually pretty fleeting, and it doesn't hinder the fact that you're playing Doom multiplayer on the Nintendo Switch.
All right, very cool. Is it all the weapons I remember from like the old one, or is it like a new selection of weapons? Is there like the BFG? Is there the
the BFG is obviously in here. It's such an iconic aspect of Doom that they had to include it. There's the classic shotguns and assault rifles. They have all the stuff that you're expecting. Each weapon has a different mode, and there is a progression system within the single player game that allows you to customize the secondary modes of each of your weapons, and that was a cool aspect of it too.
Oh, like what kind of secondary modes do they have?
For example, the shotgun. Once you get a customization point, you can customize the secondary mode of your shotgun to shoot either an explosive blast, which is kind of like a grenade shot to deal with an AoE target, or a more focused fire, which lets you focus all of the damage of the shotgun blast onto a closer narrowed target, so it would deal more damage for each shot. And that's just something that it's a way to customize, and I was surprised that it was something that you could do in Doom.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, a little more depth than I would give it credit for. Well, that sounds intense. Sounds very cool.
It's fun, and I do want to quickly bring up that they even include an arcade mode, which is essentially a way for you to select all the previous maps that you've played previously, but it lets you just run through it without worrying about any quick cutscenes or anything like that, and it's primarily a timer or score chase. It's a way to quickly pick a level, run through the level while you're on the go, finish it, and then just be done with it for that session.
Cool.
So I like the package that Doom provides. This multiplayer is so great, and I would love to play more multiplayer with you guys on the Discord chat for this.
Very nice now. All right, so I'm going to move into what I've been playing this week. I'll say I did not spend a ton of time with this game because...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and it's not because I didn't have time to do a show. I literally spent about, 2 hours I spent, and then I was like, I got to send this back.
No.
This is I always hate to spoil my opinions at the start, but I have to come full disclosure that I was not able to give this game the full in-depth play that I usually do, only because I couldn't get myself to want to play it much. And that is Touhou Kobuto V Burst Battle.
That's actually a testament to that should be an aspect that you should disclose as part of your review, because it really is a testament to your feeling of the game. Yes, and
I went into this knowing nothing about it. I did research what this series is and what this is all about. So Touhou, this is a series of actually bullet hell shooters with all these magical girls flying around. That's what the series is, but that's not what this game is. This is the cast of magical wizard girls in a arena fighting game in the style of ARMS almost.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The closest game to compare it to is ARMS in that it's about ranged fighting. It's a one-on-one, battle, but instead of it being about getting in and doing combos and attacks, it's really primarily driven by these range attacks. Because remember, your character's from bullet hell shooters. So you do a variety of shots at each other.
Okay.
Each character has 3 different main shots, and they're on like cooldown timers. You generally speaking, you have one that's a high damage, but you need to be accurate to hit with attack. One that is either a spread or a homing, something that's easy to hit with but does low damage. And there's usually some defensive attack, like a bomb that creates a shot deflecting sphere or something like that. You have to dodge and weave around a lot of bullets. And so you jump, you could fly around a bit too, you can dash, and you're doing this whole weavy kind of thing while trying to land as many shots on your opponent. So it kind of plays on, like I said, those shmup kind of thing in this weird fighting game situation there, which is actually a pretty cool concept. I liked the idea of this gameplay, and I liked just something different and the whole weird twist on the genre.
Yeah, I actually do think that if you want to do a versus competitive bullet hell style thing, this would be a way to implement it, you would think.
Yeah, but the execution in every other regards, it feels so... I can't say it any other way. It feels cheap. It feels very... It doesn't feel like a Switch game at all. It doesn't feel like a PlayStation 3 game. These are the graphics, first off. All right, you look at the characters, and they're all these like chibi 3D, models that look like they belong on like a PS2 game. They really do look like something that fits on that. I would be annoyed at a PS3 game that had these graphics. All right.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
And they animate really weird and blocky. They're not very smooth. They just kind of look like marionettes moving around. It's a pretty slow pace of battle too. It's not like I really feel like I'm doing any cool like dodging and jumping. I like the idea of being able to fly around a little bit. You have a little stamina meter that you drain when you run or you fly. But if you let that deplete, you pass out what feels like forever. You're just like sitting there taking shots and just being defenseless for so long. It really drags everything down. And then like the music and the sound, they all feel like canned music with like really very basic loops. The only thing that feels like has really nice production is the big anime background cutscenes with, very nice high def art of all these anime girls and the very cheesy bare bones plot that they're doing, where it's just like, hey, I'm a shrine maiden. Some people are talking about rumors about a vampire. I should go check that vampire out because, I don't know, I guess that's what I do.
Well, I'm surprised that there's even a semblance of a plot in this thing.
They actually put a decent focus on it. Like every fight in there's like story mode, where you're going to jump between fight to fight and there's a story. And then after you beat it with the main character, you go through it again as another character through the same story just from their point of view. And you're supposed to beat it 9 times, the story mode, with each of the characters.
How long does it take to beat the story mode with each individual character?
Well, I'm going to go by... It's probably the 9 fights plus the main boss. So you might be able to beat it in not that long, like a sitting. Granted, depends on how good you are eventually at beating the bosses and beating the your opponents in the game, which I think is only going to be a problem because the game doesn't do a very good job of tutorializing what you can do and how to play this game. It's such a different type of fighting game that it really needs to teach you or show you, hey, this is how this is going down. This is not just a brawler that you can go and smash and there's no button combos. This is what you're trying to do. This is the mindset you need to have for this game. And it gives you none of that. And so I had to spend most of my time just being like, oh, all right, what am I doing? How do I do that move? How does this work? Why does this do that? And it needs that, and it really doesn't give you that. And
that does sound overall. It sounds disappointing though, because while I'm not a fan of Touhou whatsoever, like as a franchise, I have played some Touhou games, and they're very solid bullet hell games, and I think I think they deserve a bit better than this.
Yeah, I mean, I know that this is an indie title. It is only $30. They've worked on really nice, shoot 'em ups in the past. I just think that that's what they have a lot of assets and experience with, and it's probably easier to make a really good, crazy shoot 'em up than it is to make a high-def, graphically impressive 3D fighting game with the characters doing all these things, as opposed to a 2D like top-down shmup.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
I'm just going to say that they bit off more than they chew, possibly taking on this genre of game with this cast of characters.
Yeah, it looks like it would have been a potentially enjoyable concept, but executed pretty poorly. When it comes to my game, it's actually kind of it's approaching your levels of lack of execution, though I can say that the fundamental gameplay of this game works well. I'm talking about RiME.
Oh, really? Because this looked really good in all the trailers I watched of it.
All right, so yeah, it does look pretty good with all the trailers that you've watched. And it's one of those games that looks gorgeous in a trailer. It's a game that I actually don't necessarily want to spoil too much of. But I can start with the premise. The premise is that you're a little young boy and you wash up onto the shore of some island that you know nothing about. A magical fox appears in front of you and guides your path. And as a little boy, you go around solving puzzles to get from one destination to the next. And if you see the trailers look gorgeous, don't they?
Yeah, it has this cool art style. It kind of gave me an Ico feel.
Yeah, I would definitely say that the overall game and feel of RiME is reminiscent to Ico with a mix of Journey.
All right, yeah, exactly. It had that kind of aesthetic, that deserty kind of landscape.
Well, it's not all just desert, but it is whimsical. The audio is quite soothing and fitting for whatever scenario you're running into. And when you start the game, you're actually quite immersed in the experience and atmosphere right from the start. It looks beautiful, and auditorily, it's very pleasing. It's just hard to comment on how beautiful this game is when there are so many technical issues that you run into that kind of mar the experience. Yeah,
tell me about these technical issues then. I know you're trying to give it credit for what it's earned, but let's hit up what it's done wrong here.
Okay, so I will start with what I like about it. The puzzles themselves are really great. You go in, there's a lot of basic mechanics and simple mechanics that you take advantage of, and everything feels quite intuitive without any tutorial whatsoever. You go in, you have a cue to, let's say, yell out, raise your voice. That you're yelling triggers something happening, and that gives you a clue to know, hey, this is probably going to be important for all the puzzles that I'm going to deal with throughout this entire area. And then you go step by step, escalating what you can do with your one interaction, and then proceeding on to the next area where you find a new way to interact with the environment, and so on and so forth. So I actually like that aspect of it. I also like that the whole experience is quite streamlined. So there's no interruptions for a tutorial. It doesn't hold your hand whatsoever. But if you're stuck, really just looking around, there's a bunch of subtle visual clues within the context of the environment that can show you how to solve a puzzle without giving the puzzle away itself.
That's good. That's a very tricky thing to do, to be subtle like that without having just, what's her name from Skyward Sword?
Hey! Midna? No. Is it Midna?
No, Skyward Sword, that blue girl. I in the game just say, by the way, Master, I think that this looks like a key goes into this hole.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil many of the puzzles because some of them are really ingenious. I'll spoil one where you're essentially moving an orb around a circle, and pushing the orb actually changes the time of the entire world around you.
Ooh.
And so it goes from day to night based on how much you push that orb. Now, of course, because of the time, it changes the shadows of the area, and you use the shadows to line up into a certain portal to open the next door to the next area. And I thought that was such a gorgeous and interesting way to implement a puzzle. And obviously, it gets a bit more complicated once you figure out certain elements of this shadow puzzle. But it's has really inventive puzzles, and I very much appreciate that about it.
Okay, all right. That sounds cool. I can definitely appreciate that. That's definitely a certain skill that is hard for any developer to master. So what is it about this that ruins what sounds like a very positive experience?
Now, I actually have to say, it is a positive experience. I'm talking about the game right now, and while I was playing it, whenever I was actually experiencing a puzzle, I was enjoying it a lot. However, on the Switch specifically, the frame rate is just so crippling during certain moments that it really ruins some of the awe that you're supposed to get with this game.
Oh, so this is a Switch exclusive kind of glitch, basically.
Yeah, it really is. Whenever you go from one area to the next, you unlock a bridge to another building or another structure. It zooms out while you're walking, and it's such a glorious view of you going through this awesome bridge towards the next path. And it's an inspiring situation with escalating music and increased visuals. But on the Switch, the frame rate drops so low that it's skipping 1 frame per second while you're going through this moment, and it kind of kills the mood.
Oh no!
I
definitely can see that. Yeah, you can't really just soak in the majesty of your environment when, like, you know, things are. It's reminding you in a very obvious way that this is a video game and you are watching here and not, you know,
an experience.
You being transported. Yeah.
It's the frame rate drops even while you're just walking around. Sometimes the frame rate drops when you're doing platform areas, and that gets a little bit tricky. If this game was any faster, or if this game was something like Zelda, even within one of the shrine puzzles, you'd be frustrated and want to stop playing this game completely.
Now, is this game also about, other than the puzzles and the exploration, is there like fighting in this game too?
This is actually something that's an interesting element of RiME. There is no direct fighting. However, there are actually bosses.
All right.
I wouldn't say they're like big bosses, Shadow of Colossus style, but I guess to maybe spoil a little aspect of it, there was one area where you're being assaulted by a pterodactyl-like creature, and that was essentially the boss of that level. You end up doing different machinations, solving different puzzles to create a cloud of thunderstorms to strike the pterodactyl with lightning, and that was how you dealt with that boss.
Very cool.
While you don't directly attack or fight the boss Shadow Colossus style, you solve puzzles that would essentially manipulate the world to defeat that boss for you. And I think that's really fascinating element to this game.
That does sound pretty cool. Yeah.
I just have to stress, I actually do like this game, which is why it was difficult to really start describing. This is a game that I would have loved to have working well on the Switch, because it is quite nice to have portably. But I have to say, I would recommend you getting this game on a different console.
I guess I could also say that we might be building up a list of games like this that are we want to recommend, but maybe wait till it gets an update to fix this issue.
Yeah, I was reading interviews with the developers of RiME. I think they even mentioned this in the AMA, in an AMA they posted a while back. They had to make quite a bit of concessions to make this game work. There are actually quite a bit of graphical requirements to make some of the fundamental puzzles work in this game. And
no, it sounds like, even just based on the one that you described, that sounds like an intense visual and animation kind of a performance to pull off.
The overall graphics are simple and cel shaded, but the character model of the young boy is ugly. The buildings and the lighting is nice, but the jitteriness doesn't make it feel as smooth as it could be. It is an experience worth having if you like the style of game. But for now, I really would recommend you getting it on the PS4 or a different console entirely.
Or you wait, if you're just willing to wait, if that they hopefully maybe will patch it and play something in the meantime.
I'm hoping they do optimize it, because this is something I would love to have on the Switch to play continuously. And I am liking the puzzles enough right now where I will power through the performance. That's actually that I actually like the game enough where I will power through these stutters and these performance issues. However, everyone who's reviewing this game would be remiss to not mention those performance problems on the Switch.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I wanted to just bring up in the game time is that I have finally, well, I won't say finally, it's actually a little quick, but I did beat the story mode, or at least, the main plot line of Mario Odyssey in my 2-player run-through of the game so far. And I will say, not spoiling anything about the ending, I will say, though, I was actually more satisfied with the final showdown in this game than I was with the final showdown in Zelda.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
I am going to say that it was invigorating. It was exciting. There was a lot of great surprises and just like really cool things they throw at you that are unexpected. And even Amelie, who you have to really try to like get any kind of emotion out of from when it comes to gaming, she's very detached from gaming. She's not like emotionally invested like we are,
Yeah, absolutely.
She even got a little caught up with the excitement of it. It's a very tense and very exciting finale. Even if the story ending obviously doesn't have as much to go on story-wise as Zelda, the actual plot of the ending is just, simple, whatever kind of stuff. And when the credits showed up, Amelie was even like, wait, we actually beat the game? It's over? I'm a little disappointed. And I was like, wait, well, I doubt we're really done. And then you unlock, a few more locations. There's more stuff after the game.
Of course.
And then there's stars that you can unlock that were not attainable in your primary run through.
Which is classic Mario.
Yes. And it makes sense in regards, I think, that because if all the stars were available from the beginning, you might just spend your entire time trying to get every star before you ever beat the game. And I don't think they wanted you to play it like that. I think they wanted you to get a lot of the stars. I say stars, even though they're moons. And then experience the ending, feel like you've gotten a conclusion. And now, if you still want, go dig into this world and really savor in every inch of it. And then I'm sure there'll be another ending or final secret boss after we get all that.
Honestly, I haven't beaten the game myself, but that sounds like a perfect cap to a Super Mario game.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
That was a natural pun. That's good. No, yeah, it really is. I am honestly impressed. I did not expect to consider this seriously as one of my options for Game of the Year. I thought that Zelda had that clinched. I thought Mario would just be a great game. I did not think I would honestly consider it for that role, but it is a contender, I will say now, in my mind.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. I know when we were first talking about Game of the Year stuff, you were very hesitant to even necessarily put Mario Odyssey up there comparatively to Zelda. Now it looks like you've kind of softened on Mario, and there might be something there.
No, definitely. That's where I'm at. But I will still mull this over until we have our awards at the end of the year, and I'm sure you and I will have some heated debates about this in the weeks to come.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
All right, let's go into the news and talk about all the good stuff that happened.
Yeah, let's do it.
News rundown. I just wanted to kick this off. There was actually a pretty interesting interview on CNN with Reggie Fils-Aimé, and I just wanted to bring up one or two points that he mentioned here that address a few of the common questions that we get brought up with during this show. First off, they talked about the mobile games and whether they are considered competition for their own like Switch titles or their other consoles. And people always say like, oh, if Nintendo made another handheld, would that also be competition for it? So I kind of likened this to that, and he addressed it that it's synergistic. That people,
synergistic.
Yes, synergistic. He the way he saw it was people buy or they download for free Mario or the Fire Emblem game on the iPhone, and that, gives them a taste of it, and it gives them something to play with when they can, but that just makes them want to dive in more with the full-fledged games on the console. So one feeds the other in that regards. And he saw the reverse with all the NES classics and the other consoles, in that people play the Switch games or the other main console games of today, and they're like, oh, this Street Fighter game's awesome. Oh, maybe I should go back and try like the old one, the original on the SNES Classic or something like that.
Yeah, so it is kind of a two-way street. It feeds into each other both ways.
At least that's how he puts it. That seems legitimate, though. I guess that could be a legitimate strategy. So maybe there would be less cannibalism than people would suspect.
And honestly, no other game development studio can do this.
You mean any other platform maker at least?
Or any platform maker. I don't think even Sony can do something like this. This is a pretty unique strategy to Nintendo specifically.
But this was a week of updates, everybody, and so everything got an update or is getting an update. So the first one actually is something that I think we've both been waiting to finally hit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There is now team battles for online multiplayer. Mm-hmm. We talked about this previously, that it was coming out, and now it's finally out.
Yes.
It's such a great addition to Pokken Tournament DX.
And I finally just got competent with a third character so that I feel comfortable going in with a full team. My trio is... Obviously, we got Breakson as my middler, and then I have for up close, I got Charizard. Surprisingly, I think I'm better with him than I even am with Breakson, even though I still love Breakson as my main. But and I just think that it was easier to learn him than her.
Right.
And I rounded it out with my long range zoner of Chandelure. So it's an all fire team. Just by happenstance. Yeah,
but that was, as far as me remember talking with you about it, it was completely accidental. It was not on purpose whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I just happened to like Breakson. Charizard is like the best grappler up close guy I could find, and I had to pick at least one ghost type.
It's true. And Chandelure is. I love the style of Chandelure for what it does. Its zoning is really great, and the attitude that a Chandelier ghost Pokemon exudes in this game is really cool.
I have to say, I feel like Chandelure is almost against the computer. It's broken, and that the computer just doesn't know how to
deal with it.
it doesn't know how to handle any zoning whatsoever. So even though I have it at level 0 and I started playing the final league of the game, I'm just breezing my way through it by spamming its long-range attacks, and the computer just does not know how to handle it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Now, for me, this was more intentional, but my 3 are Scissor, Lucario, and Empoleon.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, Empoleon, he's also a pretty up-close guy there. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Scizor, I know you liked him. You say he's the closest thing to a mecha in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's Lucario, because he's a steel type. He was the first steel type in the game. So
That's true.
Yep.
Unless you count... or are you talking about in Pokken?
In Pokken.
Okay.
In Pokken.
I was going to say, I think Magnemite was in there before him.
Oh, absolutely. If he was the main character, I'd play him only.
That's true. Other than that, there's obviously the other usual little balancing act. Also got a big update with Super Bomberman R. Funnily enough, this also got a 3v3 competition mode in it as well. You can go in team mode, and there's a few different varieties of these 3v3 team modes. One is actually kind of interesting because it doesn't go by lives, where you collect crystals, and every time you get blown up, you lose half of the crystals that you collected from the stage. So it's more of a point gathering thing, and not so much you get killed and you just are out of the match doing nothing for a while.
Yeah, and I actually kind of like this mode because, getting eliminated from the game does feel bad. And you do want to... this mode does encourage you to play and come in, and there are a lot of comeback mechanics to this.
Yeah, it's just nice, it's good that they're still supporting it, first off, and because it's one of those games that I forgot about, and then they throw in something interesting like this that might breathe some new life into it, along with a whole bunch of other bomber characters that you can unlock and play as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of interesting Konami characters like Dracula from Castlevania, Jehuti and Anubis from Zone of Enders, which is so great. Yeah, and Bubblehead, Goemon, really good stuff.
Very cool.
Honestly,
cool.
I remember when Super Bomberman R came out initially, and it had a pretty large price tag. I feel like it's becoming more and more worth it as these updates keep coming out.
Yeah, it's gotta really get the word out, because it can stay relevant if people are aware of it. But it is something that I have not seen anyone bring out in any of my Switch Fests in a while, and maybe this will inspire someone to host a few more games of it while we're there.
I feel like that 3v3 mode will be really fun.
Yeah, that's good. Just be on a team and not feel like totally helpless. And though, keeping track of who's on your team, gotta keep. I think you have to pay special attention, unless they uniformly color you or something like that.
Yeah, but I think if in Bomberman it always feels bad when you die because you're not really playing anymore, but in a 3v3, if you die, you still have teammates to root for.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also got an ARMS update.
Yes. So ARMS Update 4.0 is finally coming out. We got a tease for that previously, and now it's coming out soon. Apparently we got leaked a new fighter.
Yeah, and they gave us one of these very purposely blurry kind of videos, so you just kind of get a very poor glimpse of what this character is like. I'm looking at it now, and I can't even make anything out.
There was actually
fiery or ghosty.
There is actually a video on the news. Oh, here's the actual video of the fighter itself. His name is Misango.
I'm looking at the video right now of this new character, and the new stage that they showed us, which was the jungle forest with the moai kind of statues, and this guy looks like kind of like an Aztec warrior.
Yeah, he looks Aztec or Mayan, and I actually think he's really cool and kind of complicated for ARMS.
He's already using some of the more complicated basic types of weapons, like the bouncy blobs, which are always real fun to try to handle.
He has these scorpion arms as well. Yeah, so it looks like he has different colored masks that grant him different properties, and that's something you're going to have to play off of with his strategy. I believe it's likely you're going to need to be constantly switching your mask to adapt to the current situation.
Cool. All right. Always good. They're dragging. They're really pacing these out. Interestingly enough, and like I said, the fans who have been playing this game have been unusually loyal to it and have been sticking with ARMS for a long time here. So great.
Keep it up, guys.
Yeah, seriously. We also got a little tip off from Concerned Ape about a Stardew Valley update coming. We saw a few little teaser images of a multiplayer being the main thrust of this new update, but he also said that we're going to get a few single-player content additions as well, including, he just showed on Twitter a picture of a boat at the dock.
Very vivid purple boat.
Yeah, very interesting, and it's all starry. So it might be another link to another location that you can go to explore, kind of like the desert that you can unlock eventually. But
yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to the multiplayer update for a long time. I think that's a real boon. It's something I always wanted to, either just stick my head in other people's towns, have people come and hang out by mine.
Yeah, very fun.
And one last little thing, update-wise, they added a new feature to the eShop that now you can search for game demos on there specifically. So if you're just looking for something free to download and try out, easy peasy, you can go and just click in the search section, there's games with demos. You can just click that and see what comes up.
Now, on news that's not update-related, the Hulu app is finally going to appear on the Switch.
Yeah, I downloaded this week, actually.
Yeah, it's a big deal because this is the first streaming app on the Nintendo Switch, and I believe this is the vanguard for future streaming apps to come. Yeah. I actually really like this because I do bring my Switch out on the go, and whenever I want to watch Hulu or Netflix or something on a hotel TV, I have to plug in my laptop. So just being able to plug in the Switch with a portable dock is going to be great.
We have like a Kindle Fire that we use for like watching Hulu or Netflix or stuff like that when we're out about. But I do like just having another option. I like having another battery, basically, for our watching of things like that. So, I mean, anything that has it is going to be nice. I'm going to keep it on there. I logged into it just to have it ready to go. I have to see if it lets you download episodes because is that the Hulu that lets you, or is
that's
Netflix?
Netflix.
That's Netflix that lets you save episodes, right? Yeah.
Yep.
It would be nice if they added a feature like the Netflix one does, where you can download a certain number of episodes just to keep on there to watch offline every so often.
Right.
Then I might watch some things while I'm on the train, maybe, that kind of thing. But that's Hulu's thing, not Switch's thing. So.
Yeah, for sure.
We got a nice little titillating piece of information this week. Everybody obviously is wanting Smash Brothers on Switch, and we know it's going to come sooner or later. But we got one little piece of information, or at least one step closer this week, by Nintendo trademarking the Super Smash Brothers name for the Switch, saving it for their upcoming title.
It's like Agent Smith from The Matrix. It's inevitable.
Yeah. It's inevitable. Right. We know it's going to come, and so maybe it's a little bit closer that they've done this. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, the next Splatfest is kind of relevant to us, Casey.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the next North American Splatoon 2 Splatfest is sci-fi versus fantasy. I
mean, this is one that obviously I'm kind of split. It was hard, but I definitely knew what you were picking.
The thing is, we're both pretty, we're both geeky guys. We love geeky content of all genres. And sci-fi and fantasy, we both appreciate both genres quite a bit.
Definitely.
But for me specifically, if I had to choose, I would 100% choose sci-fi.
Yeah. I've gone on the record repeatedly. My favorite genre is sci-fantasy. Like, I like
exactly.
magic sprinkled into my sci-fi. I don't like it too crunchy. I don't want, like, Star Trek is generally way too in the technical side. Yeah, like Star Wars is nice. You got the Force, which is like, pseudo almost magic going on, so it's a little bit of mysticism going on there. Phantasy Star is like my perfect setting.
I agree.
Yeah, or
Fantasy
like
Star
Tenchi Muyo, that kind of thing too.
Is the perfect blend of sci-fi and fantasy, and that's why we're both very much in agreement with that franchise.
Yes, right.
It's just such a good blend.
But I will probably go on the side of fantasy for this one, probably because if I had to choose between being in a spaceship or flying on a dragon, I might take a dragon. I don't know. It's a tough call.
Spaceship. What?
Yeah, it's hard. It's a tough call. But spaceships, it's a long, slow, boring trip. It's going across the galaxy, but flying on a dragon, you're eating people.
Just imagine the scale of what you can explore in a spaceship and all the
fantasy also has interdimensional portals, the prime material planes going between the different elemental planes, D&D. You got your multiverses, you got that kind of thing too. But it's
that's why this is as much as we're on the opposite sides. This is tough for us because we love both of these genres.
Yes.
I do love how the Discord chat was like, yeah, JV's definitely going sci-fi, Casey's definitely going fantasy. Yeah. And before we even said any opinions about it.
Yeah.
It was great. It was awesome.
Everyone tries to guess what we're on beforehand. I guess we're like the Marina and Pearl of our own little chat.
Yeah. It's kind of awesome.
And finally in the news, production has been, their estimates have been ramped up yet again. We're going up to about 24 to 30 million Switches being produced per year. So it's going to go, at this point, I don't know anyone who has a problem getting one, but the demand is getting, and word is spreading more and more. So the number of people are going to have one, and the number of people I see on the train has been growing week to week, I will say.
Absolutely. I'm not having problems finding a Switch in the wild. And now whenever I recommend a Switch to a person, it's a lot easier for them to pick it up just from the store. Yes. This is exactly what Nintendo needs right before the holiday season, and I'm so glad that they're ramping it up for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good install base by that time, and it's going to be I think it's definitely going to be a very good Christmas for them indeed.
Yes.
Down the pipe, first thing on the down the pipe, big one for us. I think this is another really huge thing for you and I. Not only is Capcom bringing the original Ace Attorney trilogy to the Nintendo Switch in a collection, they are in production of 3 brand new Phoenix Wright titles coming to the console.
Yes, thank you. I love the Ace Attorney franchise. I love those characters. I love the world. I love the writing, and it's something that I'm so glad that they're sticking with, because it's honestly not that big or popular of a franchise, but they're sticking to it, and it's finally coming on the Switch, which is great.
It's nice to know it's going to make the jump. I was not sure if it was going to come to this because it's kind of a console, or if they would be able to embrace, it's a console, but it's also handheld, so we'll bring it there. Because it is along the lines of a visual novel. It's not a game that, they brought it out on the eShop for the Wii U, I think, or the Wii, and you could download it and play on those consoles, but it's not really something that I would be sure that they would make new titles for on the console. So that's what's really great to see, and that kind of promises for me that the series has a future in the long term. Yeah,
it's good stuff. I'm glad that the Ace Attorney franchise is just going strong.
Honestly, now that opens the door for Layton to also join the show.
Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton 2. Please make it happen.
We also have, Sleep Tight, which is by the artists from Destiny and Titanfall. And, it's a kind of like they kind of liken it to a Pixar style art and world. It kind of has like a Toy Story vibe to it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Definitely.
Yes, and it's a twin stick shooter. And it's kind of got this weird cutie, like I said, this like CG world, and it's got these little toys going around, and I don't know what they're fighting over, but it looks like a weird kind of action toy game. RX and Raijin, this is a anime space shoot 'em up game.
Yep, it's a shmup. It's very anime.
Yep. The End is Nigh, coming December 12th. That is the next Nicalis, Super Meat Boy type game. And that's the one with the longer stages, the ones that don't just go and end at the end of one one screen.
Right.
Wandersong. Now this is beautiful. Someone sent me this trailer and instantly clicked with me.
I felt like I was looking at this and I was like, Casey would definitely like this.
No, this is totally up my alley. This is about a bard and he sings his way through problems and to fighting off enemies. And I don't want to say it's a rhythm game. It's kind of a reflex, like he's surrounded by these colors and you have to pick the direction you want him to sing in, and that's and I guess it seems like it goes along with the music as well. So it's kind of a rhythm action game with this great art.
Yeah.
And I love the sound of it. So it's a really cool kind of simple art style, but it's really nice and colorful.
I actually really like the overall feel of this game. And it's an interesting take on, I guess, not even necessarily rhythm games, but an adventure game. Yeah.
Side-scrolling musical adventure coming 2018. Oh, you know what? That's what it reminds. It kind of looks like really well done South Park like animation. Like not like the super boxy, but it's like the cutouts. It's like everything's made out of like paper cutouts, cardboard
cutouts,
but
or
like
not cardboard,
animated
construction paper cutouts.
Yeah, but like actually animated with like Flash sort of things.
Yeah, it's good.
And RiME Arcade Classics were announced. These are the guys that made games like R-Type and other shmups. It's the same company now that brought over all the like Neo Geo classics. They just acquired the license to this company's games, so we're going to probably see a flood of RiME's titles, which are very heavily in the shmup world. But there's also ones like Kung Fu Master, Image Fight, Undercover Cops, Gun Force, and Mr. Heli. Okay.
Yeah, so beat 'em ups and shmups.
Okay, so yeah, a lot of good titles. Interesting.
Yep. As for new releases, there are a bunch of games out now. Let's start with Telomere, Cole DX, Octodad, Deadliest Catch, which is apparently really good on the Switch.
Oh, okay, yeah. It seems like it would be in there,
yeah. Maria the Witch, Super Putty Squad, Spellspire, Snipperclips plus Cut It Out Together, Doom, RiME, It'll Do 2, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, Rocket League, which is a big deal, as we mentioned earlier, Lumo, LA Noire, which I'll talk about further next week, Ben 10, Pinball, FX3, Batman the Telltale series, and Antiqua Lost.
And also coming this week, though we don't know exactly when, is the next Neo Geo release of Karnov. I played the NES version of that, so I don't know how similar it is to that, but I'm assuming it's a little more updated from that one.
Yeah, Karnov's Revenge.
Yes. And November 17th, we're getting the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, Reeve Ultimate Edition, VVVVVVV, Ginger, Beyond the Crystal, and Xenoraid, not to be confused with Xenoblade. I think they chose that name intentionally.
Specifically, yeah. Now on November 21st, we got a physical copy of Axiom Verge, which is great. Gear Club Unlimited, Super Beat Sonic, I'm going to pick that up. It's a rhythm game. Looks interesting. Dead Synchronicity, Tomorrow Comes Today.
Yes, that's the one with that really dark game with the puzzle solving, but it's like the dark, like post-virus apocalypse world. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that's going to really depress me.
Yes.
And MXGP3, the official motocross video game.
All right, let's go and move into the community pulse and see what you guys want to hear us say. All right, Community Pulse, JV, kick us off.
All right, let's start with Peter J. Ortiz. Would you like to see more games on the Switch in the same vein as Doom and Wolfenstein 2? Yes, I would absolutely love games like that because it really is a nice change of pace with all the Mario games we have. I did not expect to like Doom as much as I do since I'm not really into the super, hardcore broy, let's kill things, dude, a style of first-person shooter. But no, I got into it like hardcore.
Jeff Kappenberg asks, would you rather receive $200 worth of Nintendo stock or receive $150 worth of combination of stocks of your choosing? You cannot sell either for 5 years.
I would receive $150 worth if I get to choose.
Okay. I would choose the $200 of Nintendo stock if I could buy it like a year ago, which is when I would have put in. When we saw this thing announced. I think right now, this moment, it's done its shot up. It's now on the uptick, and it's probably going to level off for a little while. So I think right now is not a buying time. You have to wait till it dips and then you buy.
Buy low, sell high. Buy low, sell high.
Yeah, you can't jump on the bandwagon after it's already caught on. So that's so I will go with. I'll probably go along with your thing there for now. As soon as there's like a lull, I'll buy back into the Nintendo stock then. All right.
Yeah, let's support Nintendo in other ways for now.
Yes, right. Just give them that money directly.
Yeah. So Wave said, Rocket League has gotten so much hype and is immensely popular within the SwitchCast community. It'd be so awesome to have dedicated Rocket League esports teams built into the community to be able to compete against other teams around the world. With that said, what do you guys think of this idea? And could we have this idea used for past, present, and future Switch games? Oh, man. Making a dedicated esports team and managing that and maintaining that is a full-time job, really.
Yes.
It's I would love that if we got into esports representing the SwitchCast flag. That's like a dream for me specifically. At the very least, I would definitely support you guys teaming up and joining competitive sports or esports within the community. Go for it. Just under the SwitchCast banner, we can do it. But dedicating a full esports team and managing that would be a lot.
Yeah, and it's like right now, I mean, it's hard enough for me to focus on any one game for long enough to get good at it. You're going to have to really try hard to get a group from here to play Rocket League to the level that they're esport competitive, and then take them in there. And then you have to remind them, you can't be spending too much time playing other Switch games. You really, if you're going to be competitive, you have to focus on one thing, and you can't play 100 different games all the time. And that's a really hard balance. If you're going to be a pro, you got to be a pro.
But honestly, I love this enthusiasm, and I really would. It would be super cool for you guys to team up and like climb the ranked ladders or hopping into other esports Rocket League tournaments, not necessarily on the professional level, but sub-professional, and just represent SwitchCast and kick so much butt under our banner. We would support you 100%.
Yeah. No, totally. Anyway, anything we can do to promote you guys, we'll do it. And maybe we'll even find somebody to be like a manager for you, like someone who could be your liaison with us. Well,
you guys probably don't need a manager if you go semi-pro, but I love hearing about you guys teaming up and kicking butt in tournaments together. And
finally, we'll do Aldrin Cornejo, dovetailing off of Kevin's question. Do you look forward to setting up Rocket League tournaments in the future? How many people? It's 2 players max per team, or is there a larger?
It's 3 players max per team, so 3v3. I think it's definitely feasible. We kind of do have logistical issues. That's why a full-fledged Splatoon tournament is pretty difficult to manage, and we're still trying to figure that out. But considering how quick and logistically easy Rocket League is in comparison, I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah, it's just a matter of having enough groups of players playing. So, like, if you have teams of, even if let's say go 2v2s or 3v3s, if there's enough groups of people to play, it's easy because then I just, instead of it being like a fighting tournament, I just put a player for each slot. And here, if I could just put a team for each slot in the tournament, not that hard to organize. But if it's like, all right, I'm just playing by myself and I need to be put with a random partner every game, now things get all kind of wonky, and it's a lot of work to organize that.
But yeah, no, I definitely want to see just how big Rocket League is within the SwitchCast community. And if you guys are really into it, we'll make a tournament. We'll hype it up. We'll get this going.
If there's even 4 teams of 2, right? We can do a tournament off that. We could do a round robin, very simple, 3 rounds, have a finals. That's a fine and epic tournament. And I think we can do that. So that's the minimum I'm going to set. If I can see in the Discord chat and or on the Facebook group, if I can see that there's at least 4 teams of 2, we'll do it 100%.
Yeah, we just want to keep an eye. So express your interest in a tournament. Keep the hype going, and we'll do it for you guys.
Yeah. All right. I think that's pretty much it. The only thing I saw this week, I noticed that Switch battery case thing came out, the Switch Charge, I think it was called. If anyone got their hands on that, I'd like to hear how they like it, and send me a message. Maybe next week we'll read your responses about that. There's a few ways to contact us. Visit our Facebook group. Just look for the SwitchCast on there. We also have a Twitter @the SwitchCast, and you can email me casey@theswitchcast.com. But more importantly are the things that JV is going to tell you about right now.
Yeah, so while you're supporting us through that method, if you can, please try to support us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/theswitchcast. We use anything we get from there to maintain our servers, keep our equipment up to date as much as possible. We just use it to keep providing you guys as much content as we can and to improve our product here. Now, we also have another non-monetary way for you to support us, and that's through reviews from Apple Podcasts. If you can, join the review crew, rate and subscribe us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, and that's really helpful to us as well.
Yeah, we need more people to read their names off, because if you leave us a review, we like to read off the names of the review crew, and I want some fresh ones to read. So definitely leave your reviews, and I will be happy to glorify you here. Also, thank you, HeatleyBros, for the theme music, and to Halk Protodome and Will Rock for the closer. And until next time,
switch it up!